Welcome back to the Funny Thing Is podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Birch, where every week I bring you a guest who shares a life-changing experience, the medicine they took to get better, and the funniest lesson they learned along the way. Today is another solo episode. I will go back to interviewing guests, I promise. We have two coming in today that I'm very excited about. But I've got so many questions to comb through that you guys have been sending in. One is from my friend Shaylar, who had a very detailed question, and I finally curated this episode just for that. So her problem was that she had too many passions. So if you're ever experiencing that, where you have so many passions and you don't know where to start, you have passion projects, you have things you want to do for a career, you have adventures you want to take, and you don't know where to start, I'm your girl. I'm going to help you figure out how to prioritize them. Okay. And then two, if you don't have any passions or you can't figure out what you want to start with, this is all going to solve that for you. So let's get started. Number one, I think you should list your passions on a piece of paper, obviously. And then when you look at that piece of paper, you're going to rate them in two parts. First, I want you to rate them energetically. Which one do you love the most? And I do not want to hear from you that you do not know which passion you love the most. They are like having multiple children. Everybody has a favorite. Okay. We know who they are. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the people that have multiple kids, the reason that that one kid is probably your favorite isn't necessarily because they are the easiest. Perhaps that's the kid that's playing the most sports, that requires the most time, but you get along with them so well. You kind of have like the same vibration. And then also, you don't consider that work. So there might be something that you want to do, like starting a podcast. Like this is a good example, right? Because I'm going to give you guys my list of things that I was doing and how I juggle and alternate. And by the way, when you're watching people succeeding on social media or in the podcast world, everybody's struggling. It's all a struggle. None of it's seamless. So first of all, take the pressure off of that. Okay, so you're going to rate it energetically. So my list was like podcast, stand-up touring. I was writing a book, social media, because I do a lot of Nurse Rachel and just posting a lot. Now I want to try to book more corporate gigs with Nurse Rachel. And then there's a pilot that I'm on my third draft. So everything's kind of in the middle, right? So I want you to think of your list. There should be a through line. Like all of that is pretty much entertainment, right? If you're looking at your list and there's a couple outliers, like I could have added, I want to be a skydive instructor to that, right? That wouldn't go with entertainment, but one or two outliers is fine because your life is short. Fill it with as much stuff as you want to do. But if you're looking at your list and it's, I want to be a skydive instructor, I want to write a book, I want to knit, I want to like nothing, I want to open my own convalescent home, like that is a different thing that's going on in your brain. That is a more of an identity crisis, right? Where we don't know what we are, who we are, what brings us passion. However, you can still apply the same tactic. You make that list, as crazy and all over the place that it is, you can still make that list and again apply the rule of which one brings me the most energy. And that's what we're going to start with. Now, the important part about that is the next thing you're going to rate is you have to rate them according to whether they are a continual project. Like for me, this podcast is something I'm continually doing now. Posting on social media is something I'm continually doing. If you become a lawyer, that's something that you're going to continually do. Like that's your day-to-day, maybe your Monday through Friday, not necessarily, but do you know what I'm saying? It's something you're going to keep doing. And then you have to rate it if it's that or if it's a one-off. Like if I write a book, yes, that's going to take a longer period of a foundation because that's going to take time to write it. But once it's out there, it's done. I don't have to keep revisiting it, right? And then you're going to rate the amount of time the foundation takes. So I'm trying to think. In order to start doing stand-up, you could literally just go up to a club and be like, hey, can I come up? Can I go up tonight? And you could start there. And then that could turn into a continual thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So that didn't take a lot of foundation. The foundation is actually in the process of learning how to do comedy by starting, right? So if you're, again, wanting to be a skydive instructor, you need a certain amount of hours, you need a certain amount of jumps, you need a certain amount of that foundation. Forgive me, I have no idea, but maybe it's like 1,200 hours or something. Or if you want to be a pilot, it requires a lot of foundation. Getting this podcast off the ground was finding investors to help me get it going, finding a team and I went through 3 different teams until I found Petty Cash, where that is like that all takes time, and you finding it right out the gate is probably not going to happen. So take that pressure off as well. Advertising, coming up with uh, the theme of the show, because I cannot stress this enough. A lot of people say they want to do a podcast and there's no theme. I just want to have my friends on. And look, there are people that are successful at that because they have 20 million followers on Twitch. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I get that. But for the most part, you should have a general theme about it. What do you want to talk about? Like mine is, and I already said it at the top, but like life-changing event, medicine, funniest lesson you learned. So that there's something to do that. And so this episode is still in line with that, even though it's a little bit different. But I'm showing you all the little life lessons that I've learned. The medicine is this: it's making the list, prioritizing it so that it best serves you and your timeline. And then the funniest lesson I learned along the way was how many things I thought I really, really wanted to do. Like I wanted to be a puppeteer. That lasted 3 hours. And then I was a real estate agent that lasted 2 years. I was what else? Oh, I wanted to be a very serious dramatic actress. When I first moved to LA, I took headshots with a photographer and he goes, "Do you want to do any comedy ones?" Like, because I was wearing black and I was like frowning. I'll show you guys the picture. I'm very stoic in the photo. And he goes, "Do you want to do anywhere you're smiling?" I was like, "No, I want to be taken very seriously." And then 2 days later, I auditioned for the Groundlings Theater and got into their program and realized, oh, comedy's way more fun for me. So, as you're doing this and you're looking through your list, those diehard things are going to change. And things that you think that you really want to do, it's okay if they're left by the wayside. I also had to ask my mom this morning, because you guys know I'm terrible about cliches. I said, "Mom, is it leave it by the waist side?" And she's like, "It's wayside." So there's going to be about 9 more of those I'm going to make today of those mistakes. Okay. So first of all, it's also totally normal that you have multiple interests, right? Like, this is a big life. I want you to fill it with as many things that you like to do. That's the whole point of all of this, right? Is to do as much that makes you happy. That would be the best. And those are going to ebb and flow. Some days you're only going to have 3 on your list. Because, like, let's say I wrote the book, let's say I finished the pilot, then I'm only really juggling stand-up podcast, Nurse Rachel stuff. Like, that's it, right? So then which is where I'm kind of at right now, where it's a little bit thinner on the page. And when it gets thinner, you're going to realize your level of how much you want to work, how much passion you have, not even passion, how much energy you have to put into these passion projects. You're going to realize what your threshold is. So when I get down to those 3, oh, that's so comfortable. I can take the family. We can go on trips a little bit more. We can do road trips or go to another country for a little bit. But then when I get home, I start getting that itch. Like, 3 is too little. I need to have that 4th or 5th. I need to throw in another thing. What I'm not going to do, because those 3 things that I just told you, those are all continual projects, right? I'm not going to add another continual project. That's too much for me personally. You're going to have to learn what your threshold is. For some people, it is, I'm a nurse. I work 40 to 50 hours a week, and I want to start doing animation. I'm a great artist. I would love to start doing animation. Then that becomes your side hustle. So the main thing is that you're doing continually is your nursing job. You build the foundation for being a cartoonist. You learn the trade, you learn what you have to, you practice, you get together a packet that you're going to submit. That takes a lot of foundation work. And then hopefully one day that also becomes continual. And maybe you do them in tandem. Maybe you do one until the other one loses its flair. You make enough at the other one that you can drop one. But it's going to be really hard for people to maintain like 5 continual passions at the same time. That's when you have burnout. That's when you have exhaustion. That's when everything starts to like fall away because nobody's getting the love that they need, right? In each category. So for me, I'm getting the itch to do something. So my itch now is I need to finish writing this book, or I need to finish this pilot. Again, those are things that have an end date. I send them off. They're done. They're out of here. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So again, just reiterating this, you're going to rate them first by energy. you're going to start with the thing that gives you the most passion, aka your favorite child. 2, you're going to rate them according to continual or one-offs, because you want to make sure you limit yourself, especially if you're just starting out with this, you want to limit yourself to 2 continuals and 1 runoff, or sorry, 1 one-off. And then 3, rate them by the amount of time you need for a foundation. So when I started this podcast, I had other things that were kind of continual, but I knew that this foundation was going to take about 2 weeks, and that was going to, now I fit a lot in 2 weeks. Okay. I fit in a fundraiser. I fit in doing all the graphics, getting the sound for the theme song that I liked, how I wanted it shot, what guests I wanted, organizing the guests that I wanted on the first season, and aesthetically what I wanted it to look like and what the theme was going to be. That took about 2 weeks from beginning to end, right? And so that's 2 weeks I set aside. I was still doing my continual job. I think at the time I was still bartending, and that's fine. But any extra hours in the day were devoted solely to the podcast for that 2-week period. Then once it's launched, now it's just maintenance, right? That's what it is. So I suggest this. Find the thing you are the most passionate about. If you have 2 that are kind of neck and neck that are a little close, pick the one that requires the most foundation time to set up and knock that off your list. Because after that, once you are done with that, everything else falls into place so much easier. That is my go-to advice for when you have too many passion projects and you don't know what to do. And a lot of people were experiencing that after the pandemic because there was a lot of career shifts and people were like, oh my gosh, life is too short. I want to try something that is not in my wheelhouse at all. And I want you to do that. I think you should. I think you should, go outside of your comfort zone and do something crazy. Legal. I'm not telling you to do anything illegal, although the illegal stuff is so much fun. So maybe I'm not giving you advice, but I'm giving you advice. You know what I'm saying? I'm winking if you can't see me. So then my lesson to that is then you start checking them off. And the thing you're going to be surprised about is that once you do a podcast or once you do your pilot's license, or once you become a cartoonist in those examples that I've been giving, once you get that going, you're going to be surprised that that 7th and 8th thing that's on your list, I maybe don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like I had a friend, she was like, oh, I've always wanted to do nail tech design, which was so rogue because she was a lawyer. She's a successful medical malpractice attorney and she wanted to become a nail tech. And I was like, why? And she's like, well, because I'm really gifted in like, she does miniatures, like she paints miniatures for like her husband's D&D games. And so somehow that translated to becoming a nail technician. And so now she's doing both of those. I'm like, that is wild. That is a wild jump from one to the other. So you can think outside of the box. This girl is making 6 figures, I think, on social media now, showing all of her nail tech things. Like she's designing the nails that you can just glue on. But she's also one of the top medical malpractice attorneys in Wisconsin. What? So that's the point of like, oh, you can always think outside of the box. That was the most rogue thing I've ever heard. And I think you should do that. But you're going to be surprised that when you do that, sometimes when you become the lawyer, the nail tech thing doesn't sound as fun anymore, or vice versa. She's now doing the nail tech. She's making more doing this stuff because she's now selling all of her products. She's making more than she was as a lawyer. And she's like, yeah, I think I'm ready to retire as an attorney. What? And you're going to be surprised. And that's how it should be, because it's going to surprise you. Life should surprise you. All these things that you're choosing should surprise you. And then I want to remind you guys this, as I always do not compare yourself to other people while you're on this journey, especially in the avenue that you're pursuing. So if you are wanting your pilot's license and you're comparing yourself to the guy who's, everybody loves, he's also got his own social media platform where he's now like telling people how to do a pilot. He's making money on several different ends. He's teaching students now. Like that's not where you're at. So do not compare yourself to that. And when I say this has been a real struggle for me the past year, It's ebbed and flowed a lot more than I'm used to. And so a lot of it has to do with social media. If you notice now, I will post on social media and then I kind of get off. Like I shut it down. I post it, and we all know the algorithm works better if you're engaging constantly. I will literally pop back on an hour later. I will heart a bunch of things. I'll do a few comments and then I'm off again, because what I do not want to do is start doom scrolling, because I'm going to see so many things on there of other people with podcasts that are making, 10 million an episode. I mean, I don't know who's making 10 million an episode, but these people that have these sponsors that, like AT&T sponsored, what? Like just huge companies, or Crest, or like Crest White Strips, or like these mattresses, Satva mattresses. And I'm like, wow, that you guys are making so much money doing. That's not where I'm at. So it's not helpful to compare myself to that unless it's inspiring. And the way you know the difference is you watch it and you go, oh, I wonder if I could reach out to Satva. I wonder if I could reach out to Crest White Strips. The second it hurts your stomach or it makes your chest tight, stop swiping, because it's just, you're going to be in a doom scroll. Yeah, because what is it Theodore Roosevelt said? He said, comparison is the thief of joy. I love that so much. Comparison is the thief of joy. And it absolutely is, because it takes you off of what your focus is. And that's what this whole episode is about: getting you focused, getting you organized, and getting you out there to pursue your passion. I think everybody should do it. I know so many people that are living vicariously through their children or living vicariously through a friend, and they just don't want to take that leap. And I'm telling you, there's so much magic in taking it. Even if you don't get to where you think you should be or where you want to go, the journey of getting there and so much self-discovery happens. I think it's such a waste if you don't do it. And I have so many irons in the fire. I always say, like, I'm like, what is it? A jack of all trades, but a master of none. And that used to bother me. And I can't remember the full phrase of that. There's a full phrase, because I always thought jack of all trades and a master of none meant that I was only kind of good at a lot of things and never good at one thing, which is what that's saying. I can't, hold on, let me look it up. The jack of all trades, but a master of none. But hold on. Here we go. I'm going to read you guys the whole thing. Okay. It's a person with a wide range of skills who often are not an expert in any single area. The master of none part is the most common completion of the phrase and implies that the person has a broad but not deep level of skill in one area. So that sounds like an insult, right? So this is the full quote. A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. And we only use the part that makes us feel like crap. We're always like, yeah, I'm just a jack of all trades, but a master of none. It's like, no, but often that is better, because you're more versatile. You are well-versed in a bunch of different things. And you can be utilized in a lot of different ways versus somebody who can only be utilized in one. So don't compare yourself. Know that you should dip your toe into a bunch of different things to see what works for you and what you could excel at. And then I think you're going to be really surprised with what you can let go of and what new things come in. I never thought I would do a podcast. I remember listening to WTF with Mark Maron and being like, well, nobody's going to top this. Like, it's already out there. Like, why would I even try to compete? And trust me, I'm not running those numbers at all. But I love doing this. I love the feedback that I get, especially when it's so specific, which is why I'm going back to guests, I promise. When it gets so specific with people, like when we did the epilepsy episode with Joey Mackey, and the amount of parents that wrote in that had happened to find it, and then they put it on an epilepsy organization website. And those parents that reached out, that they were like, oh my gosh, this happened to my son. I didn't understand what was happening. Thank you so much. I didn't understand where to go. And to see a fully grown man who's been dealing with it for 20 years and what it looks like as an adult gave those parents so much comfort. But then they also let their kids watch it to give them inspiration. And that's just one of the episodes. That's an example. My point in that is, I never thought I would do a podcast. And then somewhere along the line of dipping my toe in, trying things, I found it. And it's helped me as a human. It's helped me on a human level, not monetarily, but on a human level, because it's helped me engage with people and learn so much about people and be curious and be open and constantly wanting to learn. And it's fed into that. And I'm like so grateful for that because I did put it on my list and it was pretty far down on my list. But what I noticed on my list when I was like, oh, go with what energetically charges you right now, podcast was the number one thing. And it was the thing that required the most foundation at the time. And from that, I'm only giving that as an example because obviously we're on a podcast right now, but that has changed hands throughout my career. It used to be stand up. It's like, oh, let's just get on stage and see what we can do. And then next thing I know, I was like going out of town. And you're just telling people, yeah, I'm going out of town. And they're like, you've been going out of town for a while. Can you just say that you're on tour? And you're like, oh, I guess that is what it's called when you've done it for 6 months. And so it like just changes and grows. And when it's not serving you anymore, it's okay to like stop it. Do you know what I mean? And this is the last episode. I'm just kidding. Wouldn't that be funny if that's how I ended it? Yeah. So the funniest lesson, again, I just want to end with that is like how I wanted to be such a serious dramatic actress, thinking that that's why I moved to LA. I moved across the country for that. And now I'm telling dick jokes on stage. Wild. But that's how we get here because we try a bunch of different things. So don't settle for being the master of none when you can be the jack of all trades. All right, that's our episode, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.